in the general session, we'll have breakout sessions, we'll have panels, we'll have tips and tricks. And the evening part is the fun stuff. So we have a cornhole tournament scheduled. We have a karaoke night and piñata night. We have a welcome reception with the exhibitors. And then on the final night, we'll have a dinner dance for the attendees to kind of just get to enjoy the conclusion of the event.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the We're Not Stumped podcast. I'm your host, Mike Bolland. And today I have a fantastic organization on the podcast. It's called Enhancing Skills for Life. And I've got two people representing the organization. Shawn Johnson, she's the founder and executive director of this nonprofit, and Mike St. Onge. And am I saying it correct, Mike? I want to make sure I'm saying it correct.
Yes.
You're the chairman of the board and on the board of directors. And what Enhancing Skills for Life is, what they really target, they're a nonprofit that focuses on people missing both arms or all four limbs, doing great things for many people out there. We always start the podcast with a segment I call it In Your Own Words. So, Shawn, first you. I'd love the listeners to learn more about you.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Shawn Johnson, and I am an occupational therapist. I live in Houston, Texas. And a little about me, and hopefully not too long-winded, is I have worked in outpatient rehabilitation, probably starting 29 years ago. And through that work, I was introduced to prosthetics and rehabilitating patients who had lost an arm, teaching them how to use a prosthesis and get back to school or work or life. And then from there, I was just always so fascinated with the prosthetic technology, whether it was body powered or myoelectric, that I was begging the prosthetist that I was working with for more information and let me come over to your clinic and observe and watch. And then through my time at this outpatient rehabilitation, I then went to work for an upper limb or a prosthetic manufacturer for about 6 years. And so I got to travel all over the US and all over the world, actually talking to people about upper limb prosthetic technology, and then what the role of the occupational therapist is with working with someone with an upper limb loss or upper limb difference. And then from that period, I ended up going to work for one of their customers. So a provider that worked directly with patients and fitting them and training them. So I was their national director of occupational therapy, and offices for this provider, and then hired and trained other occupational therapists how to work with people who are living without an arm or both arms or all four limbs. And so I'll backtrack for just a second if it's helpful, but I attended a workshop called Skills for Life in 2002 when I was a pretty new occupational therapist. And not knowing it at the time, it had a pretty huge impact on me and the former or the future trajectory of my work. But I attended this conference called Skills for Life, and it was for people living without both hands. And back then it was mainly electrical linemen or machine accidents or farming accidents. And so a majority of the attendees back then were missing or had lost both hands traumatically through various accidents. And so just wanted to make sure those workshops would continue. And so I got involved in the planning of the workshops for the second workshop, which happened several years later. So I think I'll stop there.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that background. And Mike, I'll throw it to you. Let the listeners know a little bit more about you.
Sure. My name is Mike St. Onge. I'm a quadruple amputee. I've been that way for the last 25 years. I just got sick. I had pneumonia, sepsis, gangrene. I spent 5 months in 4 different hospitals, 2 months in a drug-induced coma. And when I woke up, all 4 limbs were gone. That was January to May of 2000. I was initially fitted bilaterally, meaning both arms, around the 4th of July. And then once my legs were healed up enough, I got my legs around the last week of August. And then I was an inpatient probably all the way till about inpatient and outpatient doing rehab all the way till about October. And then the following January, I started driving again and all bets were off. So that was January 2001. I met Shawn, the second one, 2008.
A little bit before that, but you don't remember meeting me. So yes,
Oh, yeah, the whole.
2008 was the second workshop. Yes.
Yeah. 2008 was the second workshop. Yeah. You were lecturing and I was lecturing at the same facility, I think. And yeah, so since the second Skills for Life back in 2008, I've been around and involved with the organization, and it's something I'm passionate about. Obviously, because one, I'm a recipient, I'm a patient. Uh, I also learn every single time I go to our in-person workshops or any of our workshops, and communicating with other amputees that look like me. Um, learn from other, while as the we look towards the professional to help us, put our lives back together and get on our feet, so to say. It really does come from the peer-to-peer lecturing and learning from each other, because they might figure out a way to do a certain task. I like that idea. I'm going to modify it, make it my own because of my level of limb loss or the types of devices that I have to complete the same task. So generally, it's not like what makes a proficient prosthetic user, but how do I want to complete a certain task? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be getting dressed, to feeding yourself, to preparing food, to toileting, to showering, to shaving, all of the personal care that we do in a normal day that we call ADLs, activities of daily living, to taking it to the next step. How about driving? How about, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to be able to go back to snow skiing, and I've gone skydiving and jet skiing and surfing and climb Mayan pyramids. And I don't say that to brag. I say that as these are some of the things that are possible, because in the early stages, it's like, oh my God, I'm missing my hands or I'm missing all four limbs. How am I going to be able to do anything? And I was talking with a patient the other day, and it's not that we're powerless, it's quite the opposite. We're the ones that are having to make all the decisions. I mentioned that I was originally bilaterally harnessed, meaning two prosthetic arms. Within about a month, two tops, I abandoned the right arm and focused only on one arm. That's a decision. What kind of arms am I going to wear? What types of prosthetics am I going to wear? Body powered or myoelectric? That's another choice. So realistically, everything that we want to do as a patient is a choice. So we're not powerless. We're actually empowered to put ourselves back together.
Oh, thank you for that. Shawn, I want to go back to the beginning. You were talking very early on about enhancing skills for life. What made you decide to make this a nonprofit and really dedicate the time you have towards this nonprofit?
But that's a good question. And yeah, so when I attended this event in 2002, I just knew it had to continue. So I kept begging the organizers to, when's the next one? When can we have the next event? You took everybody's names and this was the first event was done by mail. Like there was no email, there was no Facebook, there was no, so the people that attended that first one, it was kind of word of mouth and mailing address. And so fast forward 6 years, I think they got tired of hearing me beg. So they agreed to host another one. And I, at that time, didn't know it, but I was chairing that workshop. I thought I was just acting as a good secretary, but yeah. So in 2008, we held our second conference, and the goal was to have one every 3 years. And let's get everyone together every 3 years. And the thought behind this workshop is, like Mike said, bringing everybody together face to face to learn from one another and picking up tips and tricks from other people that may have been living with limb loss or limb difference longer. So if you're newer and you're, picking up stuff from a veteran, bonus, but then the veterans are picking up stuff from the newer folks too. And then the healthcare professionals are just kind of, in the background, observing and interjecting, as the event goes on, but learning so much and seeing what's possible. So in 2008, when we held our second workshop, there was no nonprofit still at that point in time. We just had various entities saying, okay, well, we can be the financial liability, sign the hotel contracts, and be the go-between for all the finances. And we offered scholarships starting in 2008 and 2008. It was a very small amount, but it was just to help, anyone that's on a fixed income, anyone that's on disability that can't maybe afford to travel and stay in a hotel for a workshop like this. The point was, let's provide some financial resources. But that was done through one entity. The financial, signing the hotel contract was done through another entity. So it's all kind of, different organizations responsible for different things. So when we held the next workshop in 2011, I had a 9-month-old and was working for the prosthetic provider. And I thought at that time, okay, someone else will take this over. I've got a small baby. Someone else will take this over in the future. And so 3 years went by and we didn't hold it in 2014. And so they reached out and said, hey, Shawn, no one seems to want to manage the logistics of the workshop. Are you interested? And I said, I can totally do it, but I'll help somebody, but I can't do it, but I'll help. And so we got to the planning in 2014 for the next meeting in 2015. And long story short, ended up taking over the role of the chair again for that workshop. But by 2011, it had become international. So US ISPO had become involved. So we had people coming from other countries at that point in time. In 2015, we moved it to Houston. So it was still no nonprofit yet, but we moved it to Houston, and US ISPO was still engaged and involved in kind of being the financial, sign the hotel contract and do all the logistics from that point of view. And then in 2017 is when the Enhancing Skills for Life was legally formed as a 501c3. And I think what had happened is, I was at home not working full time with 2 small children, and I kept getting tired of hearing myself say someone else should start a nonprofit to do this. So that's what happened. And I thought I'd be busy every 3 years just helping distribute scholarships. But after the 2018 meeting, I recognized that the Enhancing Skills for Life could do the scholarships, but really everything needed to fall under one umbrella and under the Enhancing Skills for Life umbrella. So whether it was these Skills for Life events, any kind of other events or resources that we needed to be putting together, that everything should fall under Enhancing Skills for Life. So we revamped a little bit in 2019, and then 2020 hit with COVID, and we started providing some online resources and Zooms and get-togethers, which brought the community together. There was just a lot of great things happening around 2020, besides COVID. And that's when we shifted to a virtual event, is in 2021. We held a Skills for Life virtual event. And we felt like it was a great resource and a great way to get people connected, because we couldn't be together in person, but knowing that we would have the in-person workshop the following year. So fast forward to 2022, we held Skills for Life workshop number 6, but in reality, kind of number 7, because the virtual one counted as an event, but we called it 5.5 because it was virtual. And then upcoming now is our 7th in-person Skills for Life event. So I hope that gives a good overview or a summary of how it's progressed.
Oh, absolutely. He actually gave me some more questions to ask you, but I want to remind everyone that's listening, I'm speaking with Shawn Johnson and Mike St. Onge. They're from Enhancing Skills for Life, which can be found at enhancingskillsforlife.org. But when I listen to that story, and I want to get to the workshop in just a second, but when I listen to that story, something that comes to me right away is, without the passion to do what both of you are doing, and certainly I've been on your website, there's others that are certainly helping too. it wouldn't be where it is now. So Mike, I'm going to throw it to you. What gives you the passion to keep going and making sure that this is something that continues on in the future?
It's just the impact that the program has. I've seen it multiple times over the years to where someone new will come in, they feel their life is destroyed, they feel lost. It's not just the patient, but it's also their family members, their loved ones, their friends and family. And on the first day, they're overwhelmed. They've never seen so many people missing limbs all together in one building, one room, one conference room. And they're shy, they're concerned, they're worried. And then by the second day, they start to let their guard down. They're getting more involved. They're talking with other people. They're listening to the programs that we're presenting to them. It could be advancements in technology for prosthetics. It could be hand replacements. It could be the psychological aspects of how we interact with each other as human beings. It could be activity day. It could be any number of events that we have scheduled throughout the day. And then, of course, there's always lunch and dinner. And for me, this is really where the rubber meets the road, because this is a real life situation. You've given me a ham sandwich. What am I supposed to do with that? So, as patients, as the affected person, we sit there and we watch each other. Well, you did it that way. I do it this way. Right. And then, usually by the third day, the patient, the new person, is fully involved. Right. They're renewed, they're energized, they can't believe that all of these things are possible just in a matter of 72 hours. Like, I went from I have nothing to the entire world is opened for me now. That's what drives me every single time. The amount of work that's done behind the scenes to make this event happen. It's work. It really is. It's tedious and it can be consuming and it can give you a headache. But the joy, the reward of actually seeing people come out of their shell and say, you know what, next time I'm going to be doing this. Next time I want to be the person sharing what I've learned over the last 3 years with the next new patient. I mean, my psychological high will last for like another month or so after this event is done. That's how impactful it is to me as a 25-year veteran being this way. So, and it always grounds me on what it was like in the early days and how can I help that person get their life back and help them achieve what they want to achieve. Not necessarily, you know, I always say I want to get to my highest level of independence. I'm not saying I'm 100% independent. I mean, I do a lot of things, but I still have friends and family and it's like, "Hey, would you mind?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." So, my highest level of independence. That's what I'm trying to achieve all the time.
Is that something that maybe through your workshops that people learn? I'm going to keep it with you, Mike, that hey, sometimes it's okay to ask for help, because I bet you a lot of people at first are like they want to be independent from day one. Is that
Right.
something that through the conversations with people like you that they realize, hey, it's okay?
Yes, definitely. So what I'll share with new patients is, give me like 2, 3 times of trying it, right? And I'm learning. It might look like I'm struggling. I probably am struggling. It might look awkward. It is awkward because of how the prosthetic works manually, physically. I have to manipulate and contort my body into different positions. I have to pre-position something. So I'm learning what these devices that I was provided can do efficiently versus maybe just using my residual limbs. Hence, that's why I abandoned the right arm, because I couldn't really figure out what it was useful for, uh, versus the prosthetic. And then taking myself to that point, that level of frustration where I feel like I'm about to break down, I'm about to get pissed off, I'm about to cry, I'm about to get angry, I'm about to smash something, right? So I'm learning how far I can take myself. And generally, it's not a weakness to ask for help. It's actually a benefit because I've learned my edges. And what I've told other people is, when do we feel, good? Receiving help or giving help? Well, generally it's giving help, right? So if someone sees me as a human being and offers me help and assistance, who am I to take that away from them? Right?
Wow.
Like, I know I might be able to do something, but it'll take a little bit longer. For instance, I've been in the grocery store and I've had the cashier literally like lunge over the belt and take my wallet and say, "Oh, here, let me help you. Let me get this for you." And I'm like, "Yeah, you ain't the first woman that's been in my wallet." But more importantly, it's like, sure, I could do it, but she wants to help, right? So she gets to go home with a story. I get to complete a transaction and go home. Who am I to take away that little thing away from her? She helped me. She saw me as a human being. Could we not ask for more than to see each other as people? So yeah,
I, I love
that's
that. Thank
what's
you for that
important.
perspective and that little bit of comedy too. I always like to appreciate that. That was fantastic. You know,
You will
some
never
things.
disappoint.
Oh, I love it. It's great. Shawn, I'll kick it back to you because you do have a big event coming up in October, and I want everyone to learn more about that and how they can find out more information about it.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, we're plastered all over the social media. Doing events like this is definitely going to be beneficial. We reach out to the professionals. We reach out to each other through our social media accounts. Someone like Sam and other people that are always on top of it. But Shawn, I'm getting a little tongue tied here. Your part.
So the Skills for Life workshop number 7 is coming up October 16th through the 18th in Houston, Texas. And we currently, as of checking yesterday, have over 95 people registered who are living without both hands or all 4 limbs.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's our largest one yet.
Nice.
So we've, in the past, it might have been in the 70s for the total number of limb different attendees. But yeah, we've blown it out of the water and we still have 6 weeks to go and we expect more registrations. The other piece of the workshop, just to let everybody know, is the scholarship piece that I talked about earlier. We have over 50 applicants. So providing each of those applicants about $1,200 US to go towards travel and lodging, that's a big chunk of money that we've been able to like raise and do other fundraising events for over the last 3 years. We slowly build up our coffers so that we can provide this ability with these scholarships for these events, for these in-person events. So just to kind of go back to numbers, of the 95 that are registered, over 65% are quadruple amputees. And we've got people who are, lost them traumatically or they were born without. And we also have the largest number of children coming to this workshop this time. So our attendees range in age from 2 all the way up to 80. And we have 8 countries currently represented in attendance, or that are registered to come. So it's very exciting. Over the 3 days, the majority of the workshop kind of happens in chunks. And so we'll have maybe from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll have everybody in the same general session. Then we might have breakout sessions for, okay, you're a quadruple female, you go into this breakout session. You're a congenital pediatric limb different that does everything with your feet, you go into this session. You're a male living without both hands, you go into this session. And then one for caregivers and family members as well. So we'll have, in the general session, we'll have breakout sessions, we'll have panels, we'll have tips and tricks. And the evening part is the fun stuff. So we have a cornhole tournament scheduled. We have a karaoke night and piñata night. We have a welcome reception with the exhibitors. And then on the final night, we'll have a dinner dance for the attendees to kind of just get to enjoy the conclusion of the event. And then Mike mentioned the activity day. We also have that every year. It's never going to go anywhere. It's so popular. But for about 5 hours, 5 or 6 hours on Saturday, right before the dance, we have different activities that people get to try. So swimming is a popular one. Biking, adapted cycling is another one. Adapted video gaming. We've had try scuba in the past. We've done adapted golf, arts and crafts. So very similar. We'll have pickleball this year. We'll have, I don't think I'm forgetting anything, but I might be. But yeah, the activity day is a super popular. It just gives people the opportunity to try these activities that they might not have ever done before, or they might not have done since they might have lost their limbs, and in an environment that feels safe, and it feels that they're not the only one living without limbs, and that there's experts there or volunteers there to help ensure that the activity is safe as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. When you said the piñatas, kind of took me back to when I was a kid and I used to wear a hook. I was always good at that, to be honest with you. So if people want to learn more about this event, is there a separate URL or is it the same URL? I know you have events on your website.
Yes, and I don't have it memorized, but yeah, enhancingskillsforlife.org. And then it's probably a skills-for-life-7. But if you just go to our main website,
just go to the website.
Yeah, just go to the events tab and you'll see Skills for Life 7 populate.
Yeah, it's definitely listed under there. I saw it a little earlier. And one of the things too, I want to talk about the website that I thought was fascinating was you have a button that says, if you're new, start here. So out of curiosity, I clicked it and it was a wealth of knowledge. I want to say it was a PDF that came up. Maybe, yeah, I was doing it on my phone, but it had information of like, here's 90 different items that may help your life go better. Can you explain the genesis of that? And whoever, I'll give it to either one of you, because I think that's a great resource for people that are just listening.
Yeah, I'll start if that's okay, Mike.
Yeah.
So Mike Bolland is referring to this hands-free catalog, and it's full of about 200 pieces of equipment for people that have been procured, tested out, prescribed by occupational or physical therapists, for all of the different categories of activities of daily living. And it's broken down into toileting and bathing and dressing and eating and meal preparation, or home management, communications, or miscellaneous. So it's a lot of amazing resources to help people with maybe some adaptive equipment ideas that they might not have thought of before, that someone else has already tried out and said it works for them. And so it's put together by myself, Christy Turner, and Julie Claridge, who are all occupational therapists with many years of experience working with someone without both hands or all 4 limbs. And it's been in the works mentally for 8+ years. But we could not figure out a way to move forward until we actually received a grant from the Hanger Foundation, who helped us secure funding to, again, push it across the finish line. It's been in our brains and it's been in different formats electronically, but we couldn't really figure out the last piece of the puzzle until we got that grant. And so in April, which was coincidentally Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, as well as Occupational Therapy Month. So April of 2024, where we released that catalog, and it's already been viewed or downloaded in, I don't even remember how many countries, but over 50, I believe. And then and downloaded or viewed over 3,500 times. So that's a really cool feature. And then one of the other things I thought you might have been talking about is just hot off the presses is our one pager, getting started with enhancing skills for life. Like, what are some resources that would be helpful for you to know if you don't want to try to like go down the rabbit holes of our website or our YouTube channel? Like, what are some of the most helpful things that we should know just to get started? So that's one of the other resources that's pretty new on our website.
Those are both fantastic. And Mike, I'll throw it to you. When you see resources like that are available now and probably not available 25 years ago, how do you think that helps people?
what it does is, especially the one pager that Shawn's talking about, it distills everything that's on the website into one page. Like, if you want to know about this, go here. If you want to know about this, go there. Um, but as far as the catalog itself and what that does, is it really, there are, when I started, I was consuming all kinds of information, and some of it was helpful and some of it not so much, because it didn't necessarily apply to my condition and what I needed to know. So what the hands-free catalog does, since it focuses on the upper bilateral, which in and of itself is a rare amputation, which means that the professional who I'm asking for help, they're not going to see that many people. It's even rarer for the professional to see X amount of people that are missing both upper limbs. So it really hones in and focuses those on those items that this patient population, someone like me, what I need, especially if it was, I'll give the example of washing my hair. Every single therapist understands the whole range of motion and why that's important, right? So if, as a therapist, I'm being told, as the patient by the therapist, I'm saying, do this 10 times. Why am I doing this 10 times? Well, that gives me the flexibility to actually maybe put some shampoo on a residual and actually wash my hair. So the catalog can help with products that will help me get the shampoo to my residual limb. Or the catalog, it's not just about buying things, it's also about um, inexpensive, cheap things that the patient has learned that we're sharing with one another. So, sticking along the lines of bathing and showering, I was shown how to take a regular bath towel, fold over the ends, and sew them to make little pockets. Well, that little pocket is what I can put my residual limb into and actually support and hold the towel to dry myself. Now, the catalog shows that. That's not something you're going to see in your everyday, um, disability website or catalog. So it's not just, oh, I found this product and it's from this manufacturer. It's because we're all on a limited budget. I don't care who you are. Everyone's on a limited budget and they don't want to spend a bunch of money, me included. I'm cheap. So it's things like that, like, oh, I like, that's something I can make. That's something I can do, that this catalog really excels at. Yes.
You mentioned it not just for the patients, but it's also for the clinicians that work with the patients. So it's such a useful resource. Like these items that Christy and Julie and myself put together, we found were helpful in our clinical settings. And so gathering all of that information from our experience, and then the Enhancing Skills for Life community, and making it so comprehensive, but it's got multiple beneficial recipients. So not just the limb different community, but also the healthcare professionals that work with them, prosthetists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, rehab nurse case managers. It's a very useful tool. And one of the other pieces to the catalog that a lot of thought and concern and care was done is it's a PDF electronic version. So we've done a lot of QR codes with a Google search, because we all know links to Amazon get broken, or links to Walmart or something else get broken. So the Google search was very useful in making it a QR code that people could either click on with their stylus or scan with their phone. And then there's a table of contents. When you click on a certain section, it'll take you to that section. So you don't have to scroll through the entire document. And then people can then print it out on their own if they'd like to, at home. So, and it's a free resource. We'd love donations to get the resource into people's hands, but we wanted to make sure it was free and accessible for everybody that needed to get it.
Oh, that's great that it's free. And I want to remind everyone who I'm talking to, just one more time, Shawn Johnson, the founder and executive director of Enhancing Skills for Life, which can be found at enhancingskillsforlife.org, and Mike St. Onge, the chairman of the board. And you said something that I was going to say anyway. There's a lot of information on that website, but if people are listening and want to help, however they want to help, That's a great area on your website that can do that as well. If they want to help someone go to that workshop, any little bit helps, I'm sure. I know that I'm sure that you wouldn't say no to anything. So it's great
Nope.
what you're doing there, and I can't wait to see that workshop. As you look forward, and Mike, I'll throw it to you for this one, but I want to hear from both of you. Next 5 years within the organization, what are you looking forward to within the next 5 years?
What am I looking forward to? Well, the continued success of the organization, because it really is that impactful. So we're always, reaching out to professionals and other people such as myself to get involved, come on board, contribute. What you've learned and what you know is definitely valuable. I'm not any kind of specialist in anything other than the gift of gab, but it really does take everybody all pulling in the same direction to help these events to actually realize it, from the board and our planning committee to continued source of funding is always beneficial. So if there are corporate sponsors and partners, we will definitely partner up with you. We don't have a problem with that for sure. But it's definitely, it's I always think about the next person. I wasn't the first, and I'm not going to be the last person missing all 4 limbs. And I've been living it firsthand, how impactful and how devastating it can be to the individual. And sometimes we give up because the less we do, the less we want to do, versus the more I did, the more I wanted to do. And it's not about success or failure, right? It's about being involved with my family, my friends. It doesn't matter if I just want to go out and get a bite to eat for dinner, right? Like how does that happen physically in the real world? And that's what this organization can help provide you. Shawn?
I was laughing at the beginning because I thought you were going to say in the next 5 years you were wanting a break. I know how rejuvenated you get after these workshops, but I also know how exhausting it is. So it's for me in the next 5 years, it's a great question. Like there's so many cool things that are kind of happening already in the background. Like we were asked to participate with an organization called Protez Hub in March and April of 2024 to go to Ukraine and teach their prosthetists and their therapists how to work with someone living without both hands or all 4 limbs. So we took Mike, Simona Matagi, Anya Maretska, and Eric Nelson, 4 of our community members who all live independently, to Ukraine to show these individuals or these healthcare professionals what's possible. And then also to interact with some of their soldiers who are who have lost both hands. So that was really impactful. And that's kind of led to further discussions like, okay, is there going to be a Skills for Life X other country, another Skills for Life in another country? And so some of those discussions are already happening. We don't know. We don't know yet. We have to see where this leads, but that's the hope.
Well, it looks like the future is nothing but growth and continuing to help other people. Again, if you want to find out more, enhancingskillsforlife.org. Shawn, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the We're Not Stumped podcast. Tell us about the great things you're doing, all the people you're helping, and of course, the workshop in October is going to be exciting. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Well, here we are at the end of another great podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I bet you're wondering, gosh, I'd like to be on that podcast. I wonder if Mike would like to have me on. Well, why don't you go to we'renotstumped.com, go to guest inquiries. You can find out everything you need to know about being a guest on this podcast. I would love to have you on. And by the way, if you made it this far, if you went down this far to this point of the We're Not Stumped podcast, do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe. Especially share it. Come on, you got friends. You got at least one friend. You have as many friends as I have hands, so you have one friend. Please share this podcast. Thank you.